This video is about 7 best gaming console. The last one, Nintendo Switch Lite. The main difference between the Switch Lite and its sibling, the Switch, is that the Switch Lite can only be played in handheld mode. You can't dock it for use with the television. As a result, it is lighter and more compact than the Switch. It comes with a smaller screen, at 5.5 inches compared to the Switch's 6.2 inches screen, but maintains the same 720p display. A direct result of this greater compactness is that the Nintendo Switch Lite feels much more comfortable as a handheld than the Switch. This is especially important if you have small hands. That said, I still think the most comfortable handheld Nintendo device is the 3DS, which isn't as wide as either the Switch or the Switch Lite. The controllers on the Switch Lite are also fixed, so no Joy-Cons with this device. On the Switch, the Joy-Cons were removable so you could dock them to a central hub for use with the TV. Here, the controllers are fixed in place. I would have called them fixed Joy-Cons, except they don't have all of the controls that the Joy-Cons had. In place of the directional buttons is a D-pad which, to be honest, I prefer. It feels more natural to operate. Here is the best features. Lighter and more compact compared to Switch. Lots of color variety. Easy to use. Great design. The next one, Super NES Classic. The Super NES Classic is a great choice for Nintendo fans who are nostalgic about the 16-bit generation of gaming consoles and games. These were the times when great titles like Earthbound, Super Metroid, and Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past were released, many of them gaining a reputation as some of the best games ever to be released. In terms of design, the console looks very similar to the NES Mini, right down to the power and reset buttons found on top of the console. There's even a fake eject button to complete the retro feel. On the front are fake controller ports, which you would need to remove in order to get at the real ones behind them. This may have seemed like a good idea to the designers, but it actually leads to a cluttered look when you're using the console, since it looks less well put together than its predecessor. While the controller cords are fairly short at 56 inches, the controllers themselves feel quite comfortable in the hand. While the buttons might not feel as clicky as those on the Nintendo Switch, they're certainly usable and responsive. Here is the best features. Comes with both controllers in the box. Features unreleased Star Fox 2. Lots of great classics available. Classic look. The next one, Asus ROG Phone. That's right, this is a phone that's also a gaming console. The value is in the specs, like the fact that the ROG comes with an octa-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 Plus processor. Ultimately, it can reach up to just shy of 3 GHz processing power, meaning this phone can play some games better than even some mid-level gaming rigs on a budget. But there's lots of other hardware that makes this gaming phone worth your time. For instance, it comes with a whopping 12 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM packed into a chassis so small that it can still fit in most pockets. All that RAM ensures fast response times and rapid loading of modern games. The included 1 TB of storage means you can have multiple games installed at the same time too. Add to all that a 6.6 inches display capable of projecting at 2340 by 1080 resolution at 120 Hz, and you've got a great piece of gaming hardware on your hands. It even features a 1 ms response time, so you'll be able to play competitively in many of your favorite games without suffering compared to those on traditional consoles. Here is the best features. Can deliver better gaming experiences than many budget PCs. Has a good camera. Plenty of storage to hold multiple games at once. Very durable, and dissipates heat well. The next one, Nintendo Switch. Take a look at the Nintendo Switch and you'll realize it's trying to do many things at the same time. Nintendo is trying to do something unique, much like they have done before. After all, these are the same guys that brought us 3D without 3D glasses on the Nintendo 3DS, motion-controlled gaming on the Wii, and now a hybrid console on the Switch. Understandably, when you set out to trailblaze like that, expectations and risks are going to be very high. However, the Nintendo Switch certainly found its target, and over the years the sales have taken a significant uptake. Take a look at the Nintendo Switch, and you'll realize it's trying to do many things at the same time. Nintendo is trying to do something unique, much like they have done before. After all, these are the same guys that brought us 3D without 3D glasses on the Nintendo 3DS, motion-controlled gaming on the Wii, and now a hybrid console on the Switch. The handheld mode, with its analog controls, is something like the PlayStation Vita. The screen resolution is way better, though, at 720p. In fact, it's the best screen resolution I've seen on a handheld console yet. The Joy-Cons themselves have quite a lot of functionality built into them. The right hand has the A, B, X, and Y buttons that Nintendo has used since its SNES days, and a rather awkwardly placed analog stick. There's also a start button that's shaped like a plus. On the left we have a minus button that's the select button, a share button for taking screen grabs, an analog stick, a D-pad and shoulder buttons. The console mode requires docking the console in order to connect it to your TV. The console actually does the viewing transfer rather seamlessly from the handheld screen to the television screen without even needing you to pause your game. Here is the best features. Great hybrid design. Controllers are very dynamic and easy to use. Handheld console screen is very crisp with great resolution for handheld. The next one, Microsoft's Xbox One X console. The Xbox One X is all about power. If you really want the cutting edge of power in terms of gaming consoles currently on the market, then it's hard to outdo the One X. Of course, it will be outdone by Microsoft's new Series X slated for later this year. But for now, the One X remains the king. The real win for the Xbox One X is just how much raw power it packs. It comes with an 8-core CPU clocked at 2.3 GHz with a 12GB GDDR5 RAM chip. It also offers 6 teraflops of GPU power via an 1170 MHz GPU. This is some serious computing power for a gaming console. And it's all for good reason, since it's all to enable native for Kelvin HDR gaming. The only fail in the hardware department is the HDD, which is locked at 1 TB of storage space. For Kelvin games are large, and so the HDD has a tendency to fill up pretty quickly. Because of its immense power, the Xbox One X performs very well. All the games look way better, whether they're for Kelvin or only 1080p. In fact, for 1080p games, the Xbox One X does super sampling to improve the images. Super sampling works by forcing the game to render in 4 Kelvin as if it were connected to a 4 Kelvin television, leading to about 4 times the amount of detail as you would get at a 1080p resolution. Here is the best features. Stream movies, TV shows and games in 1080p Full HD. 1.31 teraflops of graphical processing power for stunning visuals. Stream and record game clips in Full HD comfortably. Compatible with Xbox Live. The next one, PlayStation 4 Pro console. The PS4 Pro's design is derivative of the standard PS4 that preceded it, though we wouldn't say that it's an exact copy. Actually, a common running joke about the PlayStation 4 Pro is that it looks like PS4s stacked one on top of each other. As a result, the PS4 Pro takes up way more space than its predecessor. Sony also did a bit of work on the interior. The 8 Jaguar cores of the AMD processor are now clocked at 2.1 GHz instead of 1.6 GHz. RAM capacity remains the same with 8GB of GDDR5, but it is now running up to 218GB per second against 176GB per second for the standard PS4. The hard drive, at 1TB, has 500 more gigabytes than the standard version. There is also a more powerful 802.11 AC Wi-Fi antenna, as well as a Bluetooth 4.0 receiver or transmitter. As for the controller on the PS4 Pro, some changes were noted over the predecessor, though it still is, at its heart, a DualShock 4 controller. The touchpad has a light bar to tell you which player you are, and the buttons feel a lot lighter and more responsive. The switch between Bluetooth and wired mode is also seamless in the controller. The performance of the PS4 is high enough that, if you play VR games or have a 4 Kelvin TV, you'll notice the difference over other screens. The data transfer process from an earlier PS4 is easy, as all you need to do is hook them together with an Ethernet cable. It can, however, be a slow process. Here is the best features. Storage size 1 TB. Dynamic for Kelvin gaming. HDR technology. High fidelity assets. The first one, PlayStation 5 console. With lightning-fast load speeds, a new controller, and a phenomenal lineup of launch titles, the PS5 is currently the best plug-and-play gaming platform available. First off, the PS5 currently has the upper hand when it comes to games. PlayStation gamers have been binging titles like Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Demon's Souls, and Godfall since the get-go, while Xbox fans have been stuck clamoring for Xbox exclusives like Halo Infinite and The Medium, both of which have been delayed until mid-2021. Sony has also finally brought backward compatibility into the fold, too, and the PS5 will be able to play most PS4 games, so you won't miss out on late general titles like The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghosts of Tsushima. The PS5 simply has the best game library out there right now. The S5's solid launch lineup is only part of the equation, however. Slightly larger than the DualShock 4, the new DualSense controller refines haptic feedback, incorporating a precise sense of touch into the gaming experience that force feedback never achieved. If you're draining your stamina bar to pull back a bowstring or attempting to bust down a locked door, for instance, the hand triggers can convey that tension. The new technology, combined with ongoing support for PSVR, makes for a more immersive gaming experience. Speaking of peripherals and hardware, both iterations of the console use AMD chips across the board, including an 8-core CPU running on a modified version of the Ryzen line. The S5's GPU is also from AMD and provides 10.8 teraflops of power, while supporting resource-intensive processes like ray tracing, which allows for more advanced lighting in games. It also comes with a 4K Blu-ray player, putting it in line with the Xbox One S and Xbox One X. In layman's terms, the PS5 is technically less powerful than the Xbox Series X, but still packs a punch and represents a massive upgrade from last-general consoles. Here is the best features: lightning speed, ultra-high-speed SSD, backwards compatibility, high-fidelity assets,